Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR503, or it's the Christmas special 2023, or even better than that. You can tell I'm excited. It's the 9th Annual WNR Awards. Yes, I have been doing this shit for 9 years, but I am ready today, and I'm not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team inside the Christmas Cottage, ladies and gentlemen. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show, it is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie? Merry Christmas.
Hello, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everyone out there listening. How are we doing today? Happy Friday. Happy last day of working day of the year, maybe for some.
Yeah, fuck them. Well, I mean, we're here, aren't we? You know, I've locked everybody in now till after World's End, so I'm just looking forward to Christmas. But again, you know, I should say seasonal cheer and everything like that. But you excited for the holidays, Jaxie?
I'm more excited about the time off than the holidays. Like, I think I'm just very burnt out, just sort of overall this year. So definitely just looking forward to a bit of relaxation time with my family. And yeah, just having some time off, really. What about you?
Well, it's the same, really. Like I said, I love spending it with my family. So we're going to get into it anyway. So get yourself a drink, sit by the fire. There's a good seat there before Monty gets here.
Let's go.
Lush. Up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan deity is, of course, Monty. How's it going, man?
Doing good. Looking for the Hennessy, the tequila, whatever you have to on it. You know, that's usually what I do at this time of year. My first holiday season with my lovely daughter. So it's special, but at the same time, I'm not really a holiday person. So I've been trying not to, you know, be the Scrooge around the house because I don't really care that much about it. But I agree 100% with you guys earlier. The time off is definitely needed.
Yeah. And as you said before we started, Christmas not really for children. So I appreciate the fact that you've left your child and your wife at home to come to the cottage and get drunk. So, yeah, I mean, that is Christmas.
How unselfish of you to just drag me away from my very young family. So, yeah, this is thanks a lot for that.
I didn't hear you arguing, but anyway, I'll take your coat. You can sit down.
I needed a break.
Yeah, no. Last but by no means least, well, think of your fellow man. Lend him a helping hand. Put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late. Oh, please don't hesitate. Please put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. It's Gina. A question I've got to ask you. Have I put a little love in your heart this year?
Yeah. Do you know what I'll say? You know, you thawed the icy heart quite a little dent. We can say that.
Yeah, I, especially when you go, I know that you're genuine about it. That's what I appreciate from you.
Merry Christmas, team.
Can you tell we've all been drinking? I don't know. I don't know if you can or not. I think we'll be all right.
I've been helping myself to the tequila as well, so I'm passing the bottle to Monty.
Please, well, it is Christmas. I mean, Gina, do you like Christmas or do you hate it like Monty?
I don't dislike it, but I will admit I've had better Christmases. So, usually I am a Christmas person, but this year, again, just like Monty and my sister said, I just want the time off and the break. So it's just been a bit of a rough year. So let's say next Christmas I'm going to be, you know, even brighter. But yeah, this Christmas is chilled.
Yeah, without that. Well, we're all here now. And like we said, we have got the 9th Annual WNR Awards, which we are going to do. But hang on a minute. What's that sound? Can anybody hear that?
No, it's just you.
Am I having a stroke? Can anybody else hear that?
I mean,
oh, wait a minute.
You describe it.
Is he getting
Ho, ho,
kidnapped?
ho! Merry Christmas!
Oh, wait a minute. It's Santa, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, with no expense spared, Santa Claus
Oh,
has
my
showed
goodness.
up on the WNR podcast. I mean, Monty, I can hear the shock in your
Don't
voice.
you have things to do? Like, it's a very busy time of year for you, you know? Yeah, you doing here?
He's not going to talk because Santa, at the moment, you can't talk, can you? Yeah, he's nodding his
He
head.
just
at me.
like
Yeah.
he just
we
like
can all
stop
see him.
by for a shot. Did he just stop by for a shot? Should we just pour him a shot?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
pour a shot for Santa. Come on, it'd be rude.
No
not to.
eggnog here. Just straight tequila, my brother.
Yeah, just straight to
But again, what a bulging sack you have, Santa. So sure you've got a few presents for us. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, no problems.
Yeah, you take that package, James. You take
I'm
that
going to
package.
take it. Go on. Shall I get on my knee, Santa, and take it?
Please
Or
don't
we'll be
unwrap
alright?
it here, by the way.
Well, he's got. Well, no, I can't, Santa. I can't come with you. I really can't. He wants to take me to London, boys and girls. You see, that's the problem. But no, I've got.
I mean,
to
feel
stay
free
here.
to if you want. Honestly, it's absolutely fine. Like, you know.
No, he wants to take me up the shaft.
How does he deal with the elevation?
Not this
I
time
always
of year.
wondered that, you know?
I know. It's crazy. Well, okay. Anyway, boys
He's
and girls,
higher than
Santa's gonna go. He's gonna go now. He's had enough. So, bye, Santa, and don't forget
Thank
your
God.
sleigh bells.
What a
Right?
freak.
Don't forget your sleigh bells. Go on, take it.
The shaft scared him.
Get him out of here.
Shot. He's not a true drinker.
Right?
Well, there's Santa, and I don't know about you guys, but he seemed a
Lightweight.
bit of a prick to me. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna...
definitely.
I mean, he's
A-hole.
not driving tonight. He's got like his little, chauffeurs, so don't see why he couldn't just,
Yeah.
Do a
Animal
shot.
cruelty, isn't it?
Disrespectful,
really?
man.
You know. He didn't want to take my carrot. I don't know why. Anyway, we're going to segue perfectly from that into our next thing, which is the WNR Awards. But before we start the 2023 version, let's go back quickly to just 2022. And there's just a couple of things to talk about. And, of course, every time we do the awards, we have the one to watch. So I just want to see how the one to watch throughout the year went. Do you guys remember any of your picks from last year? Because I sure as shit didn't.
Absolutely.
I have no clue.
No, I don't remember.
All right, so we'll start with Jaxie, because that's always good. Your one to watch was Hook. So what are your thoughts on that? That's not bad, is it?
I mean, that's actually not bad. He's had a few prominent matches throughout this year that really has kind of put him a lot more on the radar. I think that it still holds true that there's still more to come, but he's so very young and he is gaining a lot of experience right now with where he's at. So I think that still holds true. It might not be, to an elevated height, but that's why they're a one to watch,
Yeah, without shadow of a doubt. I agree with that. Good pick. Monty, you picked Roxanne Perez. And I don't know if this is pre her title win early on in the year, but it's not really worked out for her afterwards. But again,
It started off pretty good, though. Yeah. Started off good, but yeah, went off the rails.
My pick was Solo. Sikoa, obviously. Again,
He's the next chief.
I think it's a pretty obvious pick last year. I think the year before I'd gone for Sam Gradwell, who'd been released. So I think last year I was just like, look, let's go with someone that's definitely not going to happen with. And Gina, your one to watch, this was great. Jungle Boy.
Well, that was a whisper in the wind, wasn't it?
Yeah, that shot to shit, didn't it? Thanks, CM Punk.
Punk was one to watch.
Since Wembley, too, by the way.
Thanks,
It's like,
Jack Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen your one to watch since you saw him.
right.
One to watch, it's more kind of like, where to find now, because we don't know where to find him.
Is he the devil? Ooh.
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 That's not twist of the year.
Let's remember that, Monty, because that might be a very good prediction right there. You never know.
All right, Gina, overall
Never
wrestler
know.
of the year last year, and you talk about my bias. Your pick was Ricky Starks, right?
And there's no shock there, is there, really?
No, there's not. The same with Jaxie, whose overall wrestler was Okada. Again, girls, you know, they're more than just meat,
So
all right?
Listen,
I have
yeah,
no shame. I have no shame. The thirst is real.
I was going to say, I don't know who else you expected me to pick. If I chose anyone else, I would have just been flooded with the word traitor, you know? So it's just, there was no other pick.
And besides, James,
Monty.
let's not aren't head over heels for Drew McIntyre. So let's
I
let's
didn't
not
go
go down that
McIntyre.
route.
I didn't go McIntyre last year, actually.
Yeah, well, you might not have, but I guarantee he's in a lot of your previous picks and possibly this year's picks. That's my prediction right there.
Oh, we shall
Let's see
see,
how-
shan't we? Come on then. Then we shall. But before, Monty, who was your wrestler of the year? We started before we've even begun. But Monty, who would you think you picked as wrestler of the year last year?
I don't know. Roman? I don't remember.
Ospreay. Will Ospreay,
Oh,
the same
yeah,
as me.
definitely.
That was our overall wrestlers.
And you know what? I'm stupid because, never mind, I'll explain it later. Don't worry about it.
I think it's the same as me this year, but we'll get to it when we get to it. There's no doubt.
You find
so
William attractive, right? So, you know, we're there's more than meat.
I pick
He's
my
more than a
wrestlers,
piece of meat.
and I've picked my wrestlers this year in order of attractiveness. So you know we're gonna see a lot. You know, maybe
Oh, wow.
maybe less
Some
Survivor.
lookers.
You know, I'm just saying, nothing wrong. So let's get right into it then, because we have got a few awards. I think it's 23 now. I'm not sure. I should really look, but hey. So it's time for the 9th Annual WNR Awards. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da,
Oh, my goodness.
Should I go around again? No, I shouldn't. We spent a lot of money on that. So again, you know.
Yeah, like
Please don't copyright us.
We're here. We are ready. And we're going to start, as we always do, I think, with quite an easy one. Because we've got all the good ones, as everybody knows. You know, match, overall, wrestler, pay-per-view, and all this kind of stuff. But we're going to start with entrance of the year, I feel. Who wants to start us off? Monty, do you want to start with entrance of the year?
All right. Well, I in this one, I did pick one, but I have to do an honorable mention for Swerve Strickland. I do want to shout out to him, and his entrance, because I do feel like it's a vibe around that. You know, he doesn't do anything special. But my entrance of the year, it's kind of a late bloomer because it wasn't here this whole entire year. But it has to be Trick Williams, the whoop that Trick chant, the environment, Booker T's ad libs. Every time Trick come out now, I'm looking forward to it. And it's just always an awesome moment. I think that's a big catalyst to why Trick Williams has become what he's currently, like he's literally the number one contender now for the NXT Championship. And a lot of that has to do with the way the entrance music and everything, how it evolved and goes right in line with the chant that got him over with the NXT audience.
I think that's an excellent pick and an excellent way to start us off. Jaxie, what about you for entrance of the year?
Yeah, I've kind of also got a shout out for Swerve's entrance with the dancers at Full Gear. Again, thought that was brilliant. However, I continue to get extremely excited when all the lights go out and House of Black are coming out. I still can't get over that entrance. I feel like without doing anything but turning out the lights, they command my attention and my eyes are going straight to my screen, waiting to see them appear. And every time they do come out, there's a certain impact, you know, and they still get me every time. So I've gone with House of Black again.
Yeah, excellent choice. Gina, what about you for entrance of the year?
I actually have just put Swerve's entrance at Full Gear as my favorite, so I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, no, I've gone for a literal just an entrance. Nothing happened after this entrance, but I had to go for it because it was CM Punk's return at Survivor Series. That the entrance he made is one of the biggest returns of the year and probably ever. So to actually hear that entrance music and see him come out, it was a hell of a moment. But I think all good choices there. We go to commentator of the year, and Jaxie, who's your commentator of the year?
I've gone with Tony Schiavone. He's just bubbly. He's so bubbly. He really is just great on commentary. He's got a good working relationship with all the other commentators and works well with them, as well as all of the wrestlers. His continuous banter with individual wrestlers, whether or not it's Britt, Adam Cole, or even Tony Storm. Recently on Dynamite, Tony Storm joining them on commentary. I have to give her a shout out for just commentary of the night to say, but the conversations that was flowing between Tony and Tony were just brilliant. So Tony Schiavone for my pick.
Yeah, I think Tony's one of my shout outs as well. Gina, who's your commentator?
I've gone with the same. For some reason, I just feel like Tony Schiavone is like my granddad. So whenever like somebody's mean to him, I'm like mad. And to be fair, I absolutely love some of his facial expressions. So like even like recently when he had to read something out that Christian had sent through, like his facial expressions are that of just a really disappointed dad. And being one of 4 girls, trust me, I've seen that disappointed dad face quite a lot. So I get a certain enjoyment out of his facial expressions. And again, every time something happens to him, I just want to rage and punch someone in the face. So yeah, Tony for me.
Monty, I'm worried that maybe we've gone for the same commentator, but I'm not 100% sure. So who is your commentator of the year?
Well, it's funny that you asked these questions 2 times in a row. My favorite commentator of the year, and I love the Schiavone pick. He's like a Swiss Army knife, you know. He's useful. It doesn't matter who you put him with. But and I want to give a shout out to his partner too, because they're like my favorite team in wrestling right now. And that would be the NXT team with Vic and my pick Booker T. Booker T has just gave a whole entire new life to NXT commentary. I love what Wade Barrett is doing has been doing on Raw and what he was doing in NXT. But it's just, and I'm not to even say that one is better than the other, but Booker T, man, he just cracks me up. He says something hilarious or he forgets something. He butchers someone's name. Like, it's just great. He does something every episode that I watch that I'm going to rewind and be like, what did Booker say? Or I'm going to be chuckling my butt off. Booker T is like literally one of the highlights of NXT. And it's just, again, he's just been awesome. I always liked his commentary, but again, I feel like in this environment with a lot of the talent that you may not know much about and all of that, he really, him and Vic do a great job together, but he just really shines, in my opinion, in this role.
Yeah, I mean, when he called him Little Joe Coffee, like, you know, it's just every week it comes out.
It's always something, man.
Got to say, like I said, Tony Schiavone, fantastic. Wade with Michael Cole as well. Vic Joseph. Credit to Impact with Drama King, Matthew Raywald, and of course Matthew Hannigan now, or whatever he's called. You know, like I said, brought a real voice there. But yeah, Booker T, I think, has got to be commentator of the year for me. Up next, and we've struggled with this throughout 9 years, and I think might have proved maybe a little bit this year. Manager of the year. So Gina, who are you going to go for as manager?
I think I'm definitely going with Prince Nana. Prince Nana has not only boosted Swerve every time he comes out, he's boosted himself, not even meaning to, by coming up with the dance that he now does coming out for Swerve. And then to the point that Swerve actually had trained choreographed dancers coming out to then do this dance that Prince Nana did, you know. And again, right now, Swerve is quite hot in AEW, and I think Prince Nana being showcased with him is one of the best things that's happening on AEW TV.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. Monty, are you the same?
Yeah, I think it's been a tough year for managers. I mean, like honestly, the only other person I could even think of was Paul, and I was like, I can't give it to Paul again. You know, nothing's really changed. So I'm like, yeah, it definitely has to be Prince. Prince, nah. Like you mentioned, he's changed the way. Not only he's added to Swerve's package completely, and you know, Swerve been killing it in a lot of ways. And I think Nana. Usually, when you put a manager up here, you think about promos, you're thinking about interfering in matches and stuff, but it's crazy to me that he got so popular just by going out there dancing, having fun to a very catchy tune. So yeah, man, I think everything that you guys just mentioned is a perfect reason for why Prince Nana is the manager of the year.
Can I just say, though, Prince Nana hasn't actually gone for a meal round Swerve's house. I know they went round Paige's house, but they've not had a meal with his kids, you know. So I think, you know, if you're a real manager like Mr. Stone, but in all seriousness, I mean, Jaxie, what about you, Jaxie? The same?
Yeah, I want to give a special shout out to Alex Abrahantes. He's got to be one of the best hype managers, hype men for Penta, for Commander, for Ray Fenix, even for Vin Kingo. So I have to give a shout out to Alex because he never ceases to like get the crowd going consistently, you know, actually adding to, you know, matches, even in his own little special ways. And he's always the best sort of like hype, a lot like Nana, in all of their entrances. He gives off that energy, you know. But ultimately, my manager of the year is Prince Nana for all the same reasons. He's absolutely killed it. Not only has he elevated Swerve, but he's really kind of made himself into, you know, a character that the audience are loving in its own right, you know. So I got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, having a clean sweep across the board there for Prince Nana, manager of the year. Up next, promo, and I did struggle a little bit because I know there's been a few good promos this year, but mine only goes back so far. So my promo of the year is between CM Punk and Seth Rollins on Raw, because the animosity and just everything that was going on there was perfect for kind of wrestling promo. Can I remember anything that was really said? Probably not, but just see those two guys like face to face was an incredible moment for me. I know you're laughing, Monty. Who's your choice then?
Yeah, again, it was like you mentioned, it's tough. Promos are always tough to kind of recall, especially if you're going out word for word. But I believe Cody gave a great, awesome promo to Sami Zayn before Sami Zayn's title match, where he kind of pumped him up. He had a great one before his match with Roman, and I think Ospreay had two awesome ones. One before Wrestle Kingdom that was really passionate, and another one against Jericho, which was also awesome. So I just wanted to, that's basically what I had to give. I can't really choose one, but those are the ones that stick out in my mind.
Jaxie, what about you for promo?
Okay, so bear with me, but I did also have a few. First of all, my number one pick really was going to be Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus just before their steel cage match. Like all I mainly remember is Becky saying something along the lines of, "When I get you inside this steel cage, Trish, I won't make you get on your knees and bark like a dog, but I will make you my bitch, woof woof." And I was like, oh. So like that to me really stuck out. Week on Dynamite, and MJF and Swerve had such a moment that got me all kinds of hype. And I didn't actually think that I was going to change my answer so quickly, but I did. So that one really is at the top. But I do need to also kind of real quick point out a couple others that I really, really liked, which is Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso at the media scrum. You can't beat that. That was brilliant. All of it. And also, I just need to give LA Knight a bit of a shout out to the suffering succotash line that he did to Roman, because that was yeah. I just can't. I could not stop laughing at that. So yeah, but my top moment right now, I have to say, is MJF and Swerve's recent promo on Dynamite. If you haven't seen it yet, just go and at least watch that promo, because that was all kinds of hype for potential stuff.
Gina, what about you?
So my promo, I just have the one written down, is Ricky Starks to MJF. I actually had to go back and check it out because he actually said to him, "You come out every week smelling like paint thinner and ass. Your shirt is never ironed. It's too small. That shitty scarf and terrible haircut, and that you think you're better than moi? Give me a break." Like, I can't. That whole speech was hilarious, so I'm giving it to them.
Yeah, I'll tell you what was a late shout as well was Becky Lynch. As you mentioned, Jaxie's been great this year. On Nia Jax saying that she's got no support, even her knees don't support her. Like, you know what I mean? It's just it's really, really good stuff.
That was so funny.
But, you know, like I said, it's been good stuff. One of my favourite awards up next, Most Improved. What wrestlers are most improved this year? Jaxie, we'll start with you.
Okay, bear with me. I'm just looking at my notes. I put well, I've kind of got two. My main one is Julia Hart. I think that she has improved immensely. If you just kind of look back through her body of work from January to now, it's incredible at how much she has actually progressed, and you know, you can kind of see her journey. But I have to also give a shout out to Dominic Mysterio. He really has improved on the mic, in the ring, on his character, everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent pick, actually. Julia Hart has had a great year. Gina, who's your most improved?
I actually have just Julia Hart written down as well, just from where she started to where she is now. I feel like she's pretty much got a most improved trait there.
Monty?
Yeah. I just couldn't think of anyone else other than Dominic Mysterio. I just think he came leaps and bounds from that kid who was teaming with his dad. And his timing, the heat that he gets on a weekly basis has just been beautiful to watch. And now that since he was champion on NXT, he actually was able to get a championship reign under his belt. So, it was. I think it was pretty cool to watch and see how far he's come. And all they had to do was just talk, say he spent a little time in jail and have a tattoo that was always on a different side of his face, So it's just crazy to me how, when you think about it, you probably couldn't tell me at the beginning of the year that you saw the version of Dominic that we got coming. At the beginning of the year, you can't tell me you seen what the end result. So, yeah, Dominic is my most improved.
I think for me, again, like I said, Dominic's a great shout, same with Julia Hart, but there was one wrestler that I absolutely hated. Well, there's a few, but there's one I thought was complete dog shit, and I just thought it was a waste of time and money and just be released. She showed up in NXT UK and was dog shit. Honestly, like the worst wrestler ever. And a year on, she's now involved in one of my favourite groups in wrestling and had a standout moment at NXT Deadline. So Lash Legend, I doff my cap because you've turned round. I'm not saying she's a Royal Rumble winner or anything like this, but the trajectory she's on now and the improvement she's shown in the past year, there's no doubt she will be mixing it up in the next 2 or 3 years. And the metaphor base that she's got is a perfect environment for it,
Gotta give him time, James. Gotta give him time.
Yeah, so Lash Legend. So comeback of the year. Who had the best comeback of 2023? Gina, I'll start with you.
Comeback. Okay, so this one was difficult, but ultimately I kind of went with The Rock because it was such a shock. No one knew it was coming, and that stadium sounded so loud the minute his music dropped. And yeah, it was such a stunning moment because, again, nobody knew. No one caught whiff of this, of him backstage or anything. So I've got The Rock as the comeback.
Jaxie, what about you?
I've gone with Kairi Sane. I wasn't expecting it. I was 100% here for it. this got me all kinds of hyped. I was ready to see the Kabuki Warriors back together. For once, WWE gave me what I wanted. So I've gone Kyrie.
And Monty?
Yeah, I think he came back twice this year. But yeah, man, it's no question to me, man. Survivor Series, no one, I don't care who you are, if you love him, hate him, whatever it is, you didn't see him coming back to WWE. CM Punk, Survivor Series, it's just as much as, he's always going to be polarizing, doesn't matter what it is, but that pop, the reaction, I know it was Chicago, they're going to love him no matter what he does. He can literally burn a building down. I'm pretty sure they would, say it was, not his fault. But it was just an awesome moment. And again, as someone who was a Punk fan growing up and always admired Punk, to see him in WWE, a place I never thought he would ever step foot in again. Just thought the bridge was burned completely. Never say never in this business. CM Punk come back is my pick for the year.
Yeah. Mine's a bit of a weird one, but stick with me, because I was either going to put it on most improved or comeback. And I put it on the comeback because no one, well, for me anyway, Samoa Joe has had the best comeback of 2023. When you consider where he was, from coming from NXT to injured all the time, and he's a genuine world title contender now. And in actual fact, if he walks away with the AW world title, we wouldn't be that surprised. So I think Joe, I couldn't believe it.
I'm quite shocked I overlooked that one as a pick, to be honest. So totally agree with you there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
One
Good
that
choice.
I struggled with was tweet of the year. I always struggle with this. So I just said Tony Khan, because he's going to tweet something crazy out, isn't he? If it's not, having a go at WWE without something else, it's having a go at Disco Inferno. He's just a gift that keeps on giving, I suppose. Monty, have you got a tweet of the year?
My tweet is in love and memory of the great Iron Sheik. I used to wake up all the time looking for it. It's the Hulk Hogan.
Gina, what about you for tweet?
Right, I had no idea what to put for this, so I just went on a bit of a tweet, search to see like what ones made me laugh so much. And I think one that I did find that I found hilarious, MJF had retweeted it, and he said, "My God, I've finally done it. I found the dumbest motherfucker on the planet." And it's somebody who literally said, "I've said it for years. Bryan Danielson is the worst signing AEW has ever made. He's selfish, never wanted a championship, just chooses random people he wants to wrestle and didn't care about fans or stories. He's the biggest cancer AEW has." And I was just like, this idiot. Bryan Danielson's had one of the best years ever. And this idiot, I have no idea what he was thinking when he tweeted that, but MJF retweeting it saying he's found the dumbest person on earth was just brilliant. So that's my pick.
Yeah, MJF is class on X, as it's known now as well. Jaxie, what about you?
I went with Matt Riddle. Hey, at WWE, you thought I was hard to deal with. Have fun with 0-2 CM Punk. The amount of roasting he got from that tweet, it just speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's not the cleverest thing to say, but again, it's quite difficult. Might change it next year to like social media post or engagement, as the kids are down with now. Up next, we've got the Holy Shit Awards. We've got good and bad, so we'll start with good. And I struggled with this, so I'm going to go to Monty. What was your Holy Shit good this year?
I just lumped them together because it just really left an impression on me. This is Tetsuya Naito's final two G1 Climax matches against Kazuchika Okada and Ospreay. All I can say is holy shit, that was good.
Yeah, do you know what? That's an excellent. That's probably much better than my pick. Gina, what about you?
I don't want to follow Monty with mine now because that was a decent pick, and now I feel like mine's is a cop out.
I've got a cop out, don't I?
I literally couldn't think. The only moment that I could like think to myself and that was like really like impactful, and I'm not saying that there weren't impactful moments, but I just mean spring to mind, was the Logan Paul and Ricochet mid-air collision at Royal Rumble, because it just got
Good
everyone
shout.
chatting.
Yeah, do you know what? It's so long. The problem is, looking back, I always think, was that this year? But
No,
even what I've said, I'm not sure.
I was googling it to check. Wait, that was this year, wasn't it, and not last year? So I had to check, but it was this year's one. So I did check.
Jaxie, what about you for holy shit good?
I mean, again, I kind of like really struggled with this one. So I kind of overall just kind of said about Logan Paul, kind of like his lead to build up to the US championship, because I did not expect it to be good. So for me, it was like, holy shit, like he had a good match there. So that was what I put.
Mine was, and again, if you tell me this year, it was last year, I believe you, WWE being sold. And the holy shit good about that is finding out Triple H was still in charge. So I think that for me, I was like, holy shit, not only WWE being sold, but Triple H is in now control, and we can see from the product kind of how good it is at this moment in time. Don't get me wrong, it might be holy shit bad next year. You know, this is the thing with wrestling. Who knows? But
Yeah.
for me, it's that. Holy shit bad. Well, we'll see what everybody else is saying first. Jaxie, who's your holy shit bad?
So I've got my main one is sort of everything with Jimmy and Jay sort of like splitting and everything like that. That obviously I took personally. But I also have as a holy shit bad, like everything to do with the downfall of CM Punk and AEW's relationship.
Yep. Gina?
Yeah, I've put the same. It really put a damper on the all in event at Wembley when all of that news with Punk broke backstage. I'm obviously like happy for him in the way that like his comeback to WWE has been, but it still put a dampener on that whole entire event and Jungle Boy's match with him with them as well at the beginning. Like all of that got overshadowed because everyone was just talking about the fight that happened instead, you know, and I just kind of felt that was a bit in poor taste, and that was probably the best thing to choose for the bad moment.
Monty, what about you?
By the way, not that this he's not mine, but I just think it's kind of. I think that's probably 2 years in a row, right? Because like Brawl Out was last year, right? So or that the year before? Because now I'm that's how bad this timeline is. But anyway,
Brawl Out
my God,
last year.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's
no,
like 2 years
it
in
was.
a row.
Because he got promo of the year as well last year for his all-out outburst.
Exactly. So, but anyway, my holy shit, which by the way, and this is not me trying to just pile on AEW, but there's been a lot of stuff you can sift through when it comes to AEW this year. But besides the TBS title, I think that the inconsistent, and even sometimes including that belt, the inconsistent booking of the AEW's women's division is just like, it's just tough. Like I was looking for a woman to highlight from AEW. And it's just when I looked at the women, the AEW women's title, and just how it has just went from, you know, short reign to short reign to short reign. And, you know, now we finally may have something stable for a little while with Tony on this run. And it's just, you still can, I'm not saying it's not a woman deserving, but it's just like everything has been such a cluster or just a mess when it comes to the way things have been presented there as far as the women's division go. And I could have swore that we kind of had a similar conversation hoping that this would get better last year. And it just feels like for some reason we haven't really made that much progress in that regard, even though they've made signings and tried to do certain things to make it seem like the women's division would be more prominent. But yeah, it's just, again, hoping in the future they get this solved. But yeah, man, it's just so inconsistent.
Before I say my holy shit bad, someone's just messaged me telling me to go fuck myself. And I realised it wasn't actually someone saying that. It was reminding me of the promo between Edge and Christian on AEW from earlier. Well, I hope that was anyway. Anyway, my holy shit bad for me. This really kind of shook me this year, and I thought this is just terrible. It's the worst news any wrestling fan can get, and that is the passing of a legend or anybody like that, or even an active wrestler. So Bray Wyatt's death this year is just holy shit. It's bad, you know. It's just, you know, we're going to do something as well on the year end where we look back at who we lost in 2023. But again, Bray was just such a huge talent that I think everybody here, you know, was kind of touched with, even the creative genius from anything from like the Fiend to the Wyatt family, to anything if it, you know, like we talk about, you might be like a Husky Harris fan. I don't know. You know, this is what's crazy about Bray. But yeah, just a horrible thing to happen. We'll move on to most loved, because we've got most loved and most hated. Most loved for me, and I've noticed this as well, the impact, either talent or fans on Twitter or social media are brilliant. We absolutely just love each other. There's no kind of hate. You dip into the kind of WWE and AEW stuff, and it is just like a cesspit. But impact is just like, talent gets signed and like, well done. The talent supports each other. You know, it really is a kind of a nice space there. So I'll go that for most loved. Monty, most loved for you, either like on the internet, as we know, as the kids call it, or
this one was just from and maybe it's just from my bubble, but I feel like I've seen people who love New Japan but don't really watch WWE. Seen people who only love AEW, you know, other programs, Impact, like you mentioned, Ring of Honor, but you know, so they take shots at some people that are in WWE at times. But these very same people, I've never seen them say a bad thing about Gunther and Ilya Dragunov. So those are the internet's most loved. Like, it doesn't matter. They cross promotions. People watch their matches. People I know who claim to not love WWE watch every Gunther title defense. People I know who doesn't like WWE still keep up with Dragunov. So it just shows you how talented those two guys are. So yeah, I think I don't think they can do any wrong. It don't matter if you even watch WWE at this point.
would you argue with them? Like, literally, the two wrestlers that...
Yo, come on, man. Come on, man. You know how I feel. That's special. I don't blame him. But, yeah, that's my point. Like, everyone can see that, no, those guys are different.
No, without a shadow of a doubt. Gina, who's the most loved for you?
I've gone with like a bit of a cop out, but I've gone with MJF. Everyone loves what MJF has to say, whether they want to give him shit for it or agree with him on it. He still gets love and all of that attention regardless. So yeah, I've gone MJF.
Yeah, good shout. Jaxie, what about you for most loved then?
I've gone with Cody Rhodes this year because ever since he's made a comeback to WWE, he's kind of got he was kind of really just mistreated by the fans towards the end of his run in AEW. So to see him, you know, come into WWE, you just see nothing but love sort of and support on his current run that he has got in WWE.
I think without doubt. Most hated then, Gina. Who is the most hated across social media in promotions?
Most hated. Do you know what? I've gone with Ryback just because of all the shit that he was saying about, you know, Punk and stuff. Like, it definitely rubbed people the wrong way. And then when he copped out and said, no, I meant in this sense, sort of thing. Like, it was just, yeah, Ryback, I think, gets that one.
He was going to retire if CM Punk ever returned, and then said he wasn't going to, the prick.
Yeah, exactly. And then he kind of changed his tune again and said, oh, no, but the loopholes in the clause here says this, you know, so he definitely takes the cake.
Monty, what about you?
Well, from one deserved, probably hated person to another one. You mentioned him earlier, James. It's the reason why Tony Khan went off on Disco Inferno or Glenn Gilberti. It's always saying something, you know, whether it's being tasteless about women in wrestling or just having something stupid to say about foreign competitors. talent. I've seen Kenny Omega, one of the nicest guys ever, go back and forth with Disco Inferno. So it just shows you that he can get under anyone's skin. And this one I don't think is deserved as much because I don't really get where it comes from. But man, Saraya, oh my goodness, following her. I'm glad she took a break from social media, because when I was following her and you just see some of the stuff people say about her and how many people wish ill on her as far as her neck goes, and I'm just like, I've never heard anyone say that when it comes to something that like we hold Edge and Bryan Danielson, all these people who came back from these career-ending injuries. I've never heard anyone say something like, I hope Bryan Danielson fall on his head and get another concussion or something. You know, no one says stuff like that. So the fact that people have, say that stuff about Saraya and come at her so aggressively, I don't know if it's all justified. I don't keep up with all of that type of stuff, but no one deserves stuff like that, in my opinion. And I just don't understand why Saraya seems to just get the ire of a lot of people, So yeah, I think those are good picks.
Yeah, without doubt. Jaxie?
Yeah, I've gone with Matt Riddle. I don't really feel like I need to explain much as to why, but yeah, he just generates a lot of hate. So
Mine is a bit of a cop-out, but still, I don't mind doing it. It's most hated on the internet, social media, is people's opinions. People hate each other's opinions. I don't know if you've noticed this on X or Twitter or anything like that, but like literally, you could go, in my opinion, put something, and then someone will go, you're fucking wrong. The whole point of it being in your opinion,
right?
It's your opinion. You can't change people's opinions. I'm sorry, guys. There's no button on X that we can do that.
It is what it is, man. Yeah.
If you don't like it, opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. And if you
Everybody's
don't like
got
it,
there we go.
Just move along. Stay in your lane. This is what I don't understand about EAW fans or WWE fans that argue with each other. Because they secretly watch each other's product anyway. That's not.
Come on, man.
There's no doubt about. You're not telling me if like John Moxley went back to WWE, and then again we've seen it with Punk and Cody.
We've seen it with Punk
in
AEW.
Cody,
go, exactly.
Well, Punk comes to AEW. If he came to WWE, we fucking wouldn't like him. Look what he does to Collision.
Bro.
Comes back. Whoa, great.
The same people who hated Jade Cargill are saying she's going to be a big WWE star. So, yeah.
Even now, people are like, they don't know what to do with Jade Cargill. Or Cody lost at Mania. Oh, and it's like, yeah, get over it. Just people.
Just enjoy wrestling, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All you got to do. People will disagree with you. That's fine. But as long as you're happy with yourself, that's the real spirit of Christmas. So, underrated. Most underrated wrestler. I've gone for something quite simple here. Probably gone for him before, to be fair. But it's Buddy Murphy. Buddy, for me, is a guy that can probably do anything. Promo skills, maybe a little bit lacking, but he doesn't get enough time to talk, really. And now I know he's in a team with Malachi Black and all that stuff, but come on. House of Black could be on that list as well. Not just Buddy Murphy, but for me, it's Murphy. Monty, what about you for underrated?
Well, I have a few names, at least three, in 3 different promotions. So here we go. Speedball Mike Bailey. I think he's starting to get the attention, especially with the stuff he did in Best of the Super Juniors and stuff like that. And I think that got a lot to do with just people not paying much attention to Impact. But I'm telling you, if you don't watch it all the time, just look up Speedball Mike Bailey's matches, no matter where he is. Always a great time. He's awesome in the ring. And Noam Dar, Metaphor. Have to give a Metaphor shout out. Noam Dar never has gotten the love that he deserves, in my opinion. I've loved Noam Dar since the 205 Live days. So they just show you how long he's kind of been overlooked, in my opinion. And last but not least, El Phantasmo, ELP. I think he's slowly but surely also building up a bigger name for himself. But he's solid all around, one of the best heels. And now in New Japan, proving that he can be one of the most sympathetic and awesome babyfaces because the people in Japan love him now. So, those are the people that I have to give a shout out to.
Yeah, no, excellent picks there. Jaxie, what about you? Who's your most underrated?
okay, so I have 2. My main one is Takeshita. The man has pinned Kenny Omega twice, and has not been featured enough, like with how much like he actually like had done in that sort of section. And then all of a sudden, like he's kind of like dropped off. And I don't know what's happened there, but they've really dropped the ball with that because they could have like had something like really special with him, especially pairing him with Dom. But then he's not been given the screen time to follow up from these 2 successful matches he's had against Kenny. So it's kind of like what happened there? And I feel like that's more of a statement like underrated towards what maybe the producers, how much trust they have in him to do well. I'm not sure, but he's my number 1 pick. I did also want to give a shout out to Shayna Baszler because, again, not doing enough with her when, so say, the woman beat Ronda Rousey, you know? So what's going on? Come on.
Gina, what about you?
Yeah, so I agree with all of your picks as well. I do have 2 on my list. One of them is Jay White, and I say Jay White because it's probably more of a biased pick. But again, last year I highly got into G1, and it was kind of the first time I had taken on that whole, New Japan, watching a lot of it. And for me, seeing a lot of Jay White, I was seeing a lot of his previous stuff and promos and things as well. He was so hot. He was so hot. And I'm not saying he should have come in and taken the championship in AEW, but I just don't think he's been showcased the way that he could have been, and he could have been like so much hotter already right now than what he is. So I think his booking's been really bad. So he was one. And then the other one, James, I'm going to go off the back of yours. You said Buddy. I was going to say Malachi Black, but again, House of Black, all 3 of them could be in this just underrated one individually as well, because Brody's been killing it on his own in the Continental Classic. All 3 of them deserve their own runs as well as, being featured more as a trio. So I would agree with putting the whole of the House of Black in underrated as well.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I think that's a problem they need to look at because House of Black are ready-made now. Anyway, overrated. Who's the most overrated wrestler of the year? We'll start with Jaxie. I'll start with you. Who's your most overrated? And don't say Johnny Gargano again. I'm sick of your shit.
I'm actually like, I think that people are going to hate me even more for this year's pick. But hear me out. This is for this year, yeah. Yep. Danhausen, because he's done nothing and gets one of the biggest, loudest pops in his in not only his return, but whenever he comes out, he does. He's not. Like, why?
Yeah, like, what are we not seeing? Is he popping up somewhere else and having underground WWE underground matches somewhere that we're not seeing? Or
I think it's because we're not seeing him wrestle on a regular basis since he's come back. I'm like, why is there so much hype behind this guy? So yeah,
it's just irritating.
Well, I like him. Gina, who's your most overrated?
I think I'm going to get even more hated for this pick, but it also shouldn't be surprising. I don't know if it's my same pick as last year, and if it is, at least you can say I've got consistency. I'm going to go with Orange Cassidy. I'm sorry, but he's just overrated for me. I'm kind of bored and over him a little bit, so he needs to take a break and let me miss him. And then, yeah, I'll be interested again, but I just think he's overrated.
Monty, who's your most overrated?
He would be on some people's best wrestling list, so that's controversial. But you know what, I have love for this dude, man. And I think in the past I've done this. I've said someone is overrated, and that next year they absolutely killed it. I said Santos Escobar was overrated a while back. And then I think he did more than enough to get called up, and now he's in a prominent role and seemingly on the right track with his heel turn. But this year, I'm going to do this, and this is with love. It's Keith Lee, and a lot of it got a lot to do with booking. I don't think it has much to do with who he is as a talent. I think he's, and of course I know health came into play too in the past, but it's just I still see people, AEW fans, WWE fans alike, talking about what Keith Lee was like, that aura he had in NXT, and just how not only did WWE drop the ball, but since he signed to AEW, you can't tell me Keith Lee has not, especially when you think about where his partner, so his ex-partner Swerve has gone and where he seems to be. And I know he's I think he's doing stuff in Ring of Honor, so that kind of limits visibility from some people too. Like I said, you can come up with a lot of excuses, but I still feel like when you hear the name Keith Lee as a wrestler, you think of what he was in NXT. You don't think about anything he's done in the last few years, really. And I think that means he's overrated to me, you know. And right now he's being overshadowed by American Food Critic. So
there you go. We even had Samoa Joe and Keith Lee a couple of months ago on Dynamite, and
it was underwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. And you're thinking where each man were as well. I think
Crazy,
mine was
man.
even worse because I'm actually attacking someone that I know people love. But again, this is from this year. My most overrated is Roman Reigns' title reign this year. It's got to be. You know, come on. It's
bloated, man.
Well, exactly. With the excitement that we had at the beginning of the year, and then, of course, the retread of Kevin Owens at a Rumble, which we've had before, which is, you know, led to Sami Zayn and the Elimination Chamber. And then, of course, the build-up to WrestleMania.
And then here we go.
Which, again, and then it seemed as soon as Cody lost, then Reigns was just like, right, I'm not going to, you know, put the title on the line.
Do a couple tag matches.
Couple of tag matches. SummerSlam against Jey Uso, which was
we know how that
really
went.
bad. Really badly worked.
Yeah.
They really
LA Knight having to get help beating LA Knight. You know, and you're going like, so how many times do you need help to... I understand it with, you know, we talk about Drew, or we talk about, you know...
Yeah, but what you think going to happen against Randy?
And LA Knight, and then Randy... And
incredible now, like, to believe that they can actually take the belts from Roman, because at this point, everyone who probably had every right and reason to take the belts, they flubbed it with. So who they got left?
Yeah.
Well, it's even the whole Jimmy, you know, hitting Reigns.
Which, by the way,
he's
killing it. It's stupid, but Jimmy's killing it. I have to give him a shout out.
But again, for him to be the one to get the Usos out of the bloodline and then just rejoin it after costing... It didn't make any sense in my mind trying to rethink of the year.
No, honestly, that was that's so stupid. I still do not understand the decision behind that. Like, yeah, I get that you wanted to have this storyline of Jimmy and Jay breaking up, but why on earth would you even have Jimmy go back to the bloodline after he was the one who caused it, and as a result, you know, caused his brother the win because he didn't want Jay turning into another
and
Roman.
then Jay still end up doing it. Still end up going on his own.
And the thing is, the reign of whatever it is, like 1,200 days, and it's great because you've not been around for 200. So it doesn't matter. This whole matter of days is like, if I had 3 title defenses in a year, you know what I mean? Then that's how it works. You know, you compare him to like Gunther, you know. And I know Gunther's maybe a little bit different animal, but I just think this year with Reigns, they just thought people were more, you know. And again, if we get the payoff with Cody or whatever happens,
and I can already say as well that I don't think that during that brief time where Vince took back control, I think that if it had stayed in Triple H's hands, I do not believe that Roman would still currently be champion.
It's weird, isn't it? We're going to see what happens, you know, but at the moment, like, you know, we talk about where the bloodline were from last year. You could even say better off last year, you know, which is going to be a couple of awards down the line. But we're going to move on to move of the year. And I always struggle with this because there's so many fantastic moves, you know. So what I normally do when I struggle is pass over to Monty. So who's your move of the year, man?
I'm so surprised, man, that you had a tough time with this because... you know, it broke my heart on the one. I think NXT No Mercy. It broke my heart that night. I think that's the right show, but I could be wrong. But either way it goes, it's the H-Bomb and Torpedo Moscow. Ilya Dragunov, man, when he rears back and he just says, "I'm gonna break your face into the floor." Oh my goodness. I love the way Dragunov delivers it. The intensity is always 100%. Like I said, if you don't watch a Dragunov match, I'm telling you, his finishers, whichever one he chooses to use, whether it's the diving headbutt torpedo Moscow or is that huge H-bomb and the one off the top rope where he took the belt off Melo, just shattered my heart into pieces, just like it shattered Melo's face.
I'm so glad. I wanted you to say, because I picked H-bomb as well, but I wanted you to relive that memory, and that is why it's my move of the year. That's what it does. I've never seen a move Killer Man before, but the H-bomb does. Jack C, what's your move of the year?
I mean, I hope that we can consider this a move of the year because I feel like it's been heavily featured throughout, like, you know, across all sort of wrestling promotions this year. And that is a spray or mist to the face. That shit's been deadly. And you are not that, like, if you get sprayed to the face, you're losing everything. Whether or not that's from Malachi Black, whether or not it's from Julia Hart, whether or not it's from Asuka, whether or not it's from Shinsuke. Yeah, thank you. It's just been featured a lot this year, but I don't mean that as a bad way. I like they've utilized that move the way that Tajiri like utilized it. So I'm not
a great mover.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not mad at that. I'm just saying it's been very heavily featured this year in particular for me.
Yeah, no, it was a good choice. Gina, what about you for move of the year?
I'm copping out with this one, and I went with the roll-up pin.
Hooray! Roll up pin!
Yay!
We love it. Don't you just love a good roll-up?
They just can't get over a good roll-up pin. So yeah,
just gotta do
it. It's true. This is what I'm thinking.
A victory roll.
It's like, is that like a wrestler's weakness? When they train to be a wrestler, whatever you do not have your back turned to your opponent, because if they get their arm underneath you will be, because it's like, it happens too often.
That you can thrust your thighs upwards to kick out of that roll-up pin. It's deemed impossible. It is.
You're like a turtle. You're on your back, and you just can't get up. You're just stuck. All right?
If no one tip you over, you're not getting up, bruv. So that roll-up pin is deadly. It's deadly.
It doesn't matter where you are, too.
Don't have anyone outside the ring either. You will get easily distracted and just focus all your attention on that, knowing that your opponent is going to take full advantage of that. Don't do it to yourself, mate, on the real. Don't do it to yourself.
Yeah, no, it's true. Please do not try roll-up pins at home, all right? We
not safe.
They're not safe. So I mentioned this a minute ago, but better off last year. I mean, there's a plethora. You know, I mean, CM Punk was on this list up until November. So, but it's weird how it changes. Jack C, who is better off last year?
I mean, I don't know if this is going to be hard to hear, but Austin Theory. I mean, can you kind of really tell me about his run this year? Because I think
Triple H's booking fucking him up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
beat John Cena.
The only relevance that I think that he's kind of had this year that I can kind of remember are two iconic moments: getting double punched in the face by Kevin Owens, and then getting beat up by The Rock. You think having Austin Theory work with both like names like Kevin Owens and The Rock, like in the space of a span of a year as well, even if it's small moments, would actually work for you. But like the only relevancy you have in those moments are like getting your ass kicked. But like compared to how featured you were last year, how prominent, how on the scene, you had the US belt. You know, I might not have liked that character that he had as much as his other serious one. But like even since like pairing him with Grayson Waller, like they haven't done much with him. So yeah, he was better off last year.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes mixing it with legends doesn't help. Just ask David Sandow or Elias, you know. But like we said before, it'd be interesting. There's still more time. We've got more time.
Yeah, definitely. He's still young. Austin Theory. You know, he doesn't need to be completely thrust in the limelight, you know, straight away for everything. You know, but I mean,
I
if we're
wouldn't
just
mind him thrusting my limelight or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to, you know, equal it out for everybody.
yeah, sure, you are, James.
Well, we'll quickly move on. Gina, who's your better off last year?
I'm going to go with Britt Baker on this one. We've barely seen her this year, to be honest.
Tweet about it.
Yeah, we've barely seen her, if I'm being honest. And when we have seen her, to be honest, it's been booked quite awful. The whole, you know, couples thing with Adam Cole just didn't work for me. Keep them separate. I prefer them both as separate wrestlers, not as a couples wrestler. It was just cheesy. You know, the dangling in front of, like, Chris Jericho dangling her in front of Adam Cole as if he can't just reach across the ring to get to her. I just... No, it really didn't work for me. And everyone loves Britt Baker. It's not that she's not actually loved. The crowds always love her when she comes out. She always puts on something entertaining for them. But she was better off last year at this point because she's not really been around this year.
Yeah, I remember us comparing her to like Charlotte in, you know, AEW, saying that, oh, she gets used so often. And like I said, it's really weird how she just disappeared the face of the planet since like Tony Storm showed up. It's almost like Tony Khan's got shiny new toys.
Adam Cole,
you know,
and yeah, it's like Adam Cole got injured, and okay, well, Britt, you're off too if your boyfriend can't.
You can't do mixed tags. You're barred.
Exactly. If he's not doing it, you're not doing it either.
You can kind of argue that, considering the last time you saw her was getting involved in Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho. So it's like well, actually, wait, I think maybe she was in a fatal 4-way. I can't remember if that was before that, though.
She just
either way,
at Adam, and all he wants to do is play computer games. You know what I mean? He's just, Britt, I've heard this before. It's not my fault, you know? As he smashes the controller against the wall. Anyway, Monty, who is your better off last year?
Yeah, man, you mentioned how the title defenses that Roman Reigns had and all of that type of stuff. And I just vividly remember a title match from last year that was really, really good on SmackDown, where Roman had one of the best kickouts at like 2.9. He was fighting Matt Riddle, guys, and Riddle is now, you know, he's just signed with MLW, so good luck to him going forward. But yeah, man, Riddle ended up unemployed and out of that because he got in his own way. And I think that I didn't want to choose anyone who I thought just like was booking or stuff like that. I wanted to find someone who I really didn't want to talk about any other releases, but he was the only release where I was like, I think Riddle would still be there if he wouldn't, you know, if he could have, you know, got his behavior together. So yeah, man, I think Riddle was 100% better off last year. He was fighting Roman Reigns to the point to where they were like, he lost that match, he can never challenge for the belt again. So I think people forget exactly where Riddle was before he went away for that initial period, after, you know, with the trouble. And then he came back and he had a lackluster run of this year. But yeah, man, and then the stuff with Randy he was doing too. You know, I know Randy getting hurt him too. But yeah, man, there's no way you can tell me that he wasn't better off last year.
Well, I just think it's terrible to, you know, target someone that's been released. You know, if it was mine, let me have a look. I've picked Matt Riddle. So, yeah, we'll move on then.
Exactly.
We'll talk about that. We've got Rivalry of the Year. Man, this was tough. And when I struggle, usually I go to Monty. But I will throw out my one, which is Brock versus Cody. It's the only one I can really remember, not going to lie. Monty, I'm sure you got a better one.
As far as matches go, and I know that I wish they could have did more together, but, you know, different promotions and stuff like that. But, yeah, Ospreay and Omega had two of the best matches that I've seen this year. And I think Dragunov and Melo, every time they touched, as far as wrestling goes, as far as we're talking about wrestling here, a rivalry in the ring, I don't think those were two of the best feuds that I've seen all year.
Yeah, I mean, their third match, Melo and Nia, when the bell rang, it's like the continuation of their other matches. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It just started 100 miles an hour. No, a couple of great rivalries there. Gina, what about you? Rivalry of the year.
To be honest, this one was quite difficult for me to find one that I could talk about, but I will give a shout out to like Jimmy versus Jay, because I just never liked twins against twins, and I took it personally. So that really disturbed me this year. But I will say that even though I've not been doing the weekly NXTs, every time I've seen the Mello and Dragunov matches, they've always just been, fuel filled, and they're great. So I'm going to go with that one as well.
Jaxie, what about you?
Okay, so I gave a shout out to Dominic and Ray Mysterio. But overall, I think I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go with Swerve and Hangman Page, because holy shit, their matches have been more and more brutal with every time they face each other. So they're trying to kill each other.
Promos were great too.
Yeah, they're just killing it. They really have made us believe that they both hate each other and want to kill each other. So I think they're smashing it right now with sort of the level of feud and on what they wanted us to kind of feel from their matches.
Yeah, I think we're out of doubt. Page and Swerve and Mello here was in my choices as well. Storyline of the year. All right, guys, let me get this out of the way. You know what's happening. He's got to win an award, and he's going to win this one. The storyline of the year is Drew McIntyre's heel turn. The way he's played it on Raw has been fantastic. I think it should end with him winning the world title, but it's not going to. But I think he showed a different side to him, and this kind of monster McIntyre that we're having at the moment is the Drew that we've needed for the past couple of years. But we're finally getting it now. Whether that continues in WWE next year or even AEW, then I'm along for the ride. But Drew McIntyre was storyline of the year. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, honestly, like I said, as much as I agree with you about Roman's reign, I do think two of the best things that was done this year in WWE, as far as a storytelling standpoint, was Sami Zayn's exit at the beginning of the year. Like, I was there at the Royal Rumble, special moment, and then the match they had after that. Even though I think we all felt Sami would not win that match, he had Canada believe in him, and I do believe the moment, not necessarily what happened after this, the moment of Jimmy kicking Roman the very first time, and then Jay being on the fence about leaving the bloodline, and then also said, I'm out too. That story, best stuff I've seen, like some of the best moments I've seen all year, and that was all intertwined into the storyline. It's sad that last one is kind of like where the story, in my opinion, for the bloodline lost a little bit of steam, even though I think the Usos themselves, they've been doing their damnedest. They've been carrying this story on their back while their cousin has been, doing whatever he does while he's off and enjoying his life, I'm sure, because he is the tribal chief. But yeah, man, those moments, Sami Zayn and what he went through and who he is based on from the honorary Uso to who he is now, and then what Jey Uso is. And then, like I said, even though Jimmy looks crazy, I think the character work on the delusion that he has now is like Jay kicked him into a entirely different universe. What you think about the decisions he's made? So yeah, I think those were two of the best stories told this year.
Yeah, I think especially with Sami, as he said to Drew, after losing to Roman, he decided to pick himself up a main event at WrestleMania and win the tag titles with his best friend.
Right.
So like I said, the story from there. Gina, what about you for storyline of the year?
Again, this one was quite difficult to actually pinpoint without going to kind of the standard. I say standard bloodline, like Monty explained. There were certain aspects in the bloodline story that made it great, but then they just lost it with the rest of the year. But I do have written down who is the devil, because this storyline is still ongoing at the moment, and it's kind of like the Spider-Man meme at the moment. Everyone's pointing at each other on "you're the devil," no, you're the devil sort of thing. So I'd say who is the devil storyline for me.
I said it's got a lot of people invested. Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, so I actually not had the same answer as Monty, but a similar one, which is just everything to do with kind of like uh the breakup of Jimmy and Jay, and just kind of like how invested like I am. I may call me biased, I don't care. So that really good kind of both of them I've been invested in on either show, because as Monty pointed out, like Jimmy's kind of like going down this sort of route, which in all honesty, being a twin, all I can imagine, all I can describe what I'm thinking Jimmy is right now is lost, and he is just winging it.
Yeah.
And I'm invested in seeing where this will lead to for him, especially when you kind of look at the continuous success Jay is having on Raw, and what that psychologically is doing to Jimmy. Again, I'm being a twin, I'm automatically thinking about those moments whenever Jimmy or Jay are on Raw and SmackDown. So I'm just so invested in that at the moment, and everything that both of them are doing. So it's not really about the bloodline, but about the Usos, really. But I also want to say as well, Hangman and Swerve, I don't feel like it's over. And I kind of have been, after their second match, I feel kind of like we need a third. I don't feel like this story is over. So I wanted to give that a shout out too.
Yeah, right. Excellent pick. So you just speak about that. And I think our next award is going to be my favourite award, which is the Johnny Gargano Award for most punishment taken in a match. And I've had a lot of people say, well, come on, it can't be that bad. Go back and watch it. We know what happened. Lost a ladder match and then Tommaso Ciampa fucked him afterwards. So we've been trying to get to that moment in wrestling for the past 9 years, or whatever it is, 7, 6. And I think this year it's quite simple for me. But I just want to obviously work the room quickly. So, Gina, who's your Johnny Gargano Award for most punishment taken in the match?
Okay, so you're probably going to hate me because I've kind of slightly changed the award for my answer, but it's not necessarily the award for the most punishment taken in the match. My award is kind of like the most punishment taken this year. And in a way, I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes, because technically he's had 102 matches in 2023, which I think is one of the highest. Like, I think he might actually be one of the highest wrestlers to have, like, number of matches to have had in 2023. So if you're asking for punishment, Cody's body is probably screaming, but I've gone with him for that reason.
Well, consider where Brock broke his arm, Judgment Day broke his ankle. It's been a rough year for him as well. So
logical.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of stuff going on. Jaxie, what about you?
I mean, I've kind of gone with two, and that is exactly what I just talked about. Is the second match between Hangman and Swerve. They both wanted to sign each other's death certificates during that match. This wasn't a wrestling match. This was like, like someone trying to murder someone. So both of them took beatings. I don't know which one took the biggest beating, to be honest. Just know it was carnage. That is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it really, really was. Monty, what about you?
I agree, and I just to avoid choosing that one, because everything you just said was spot on. Because that was just pure violence. I also want, before I say mine, I want a petition. We might need to call this the Johnny Gargano Darby Allin Award. Just for what Darby does to himself in general.
Actually, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just in general, he might need to have his name included also. But Dijak versus Ilya Dragunov. I don't know if you remember this match, James. I know the girls may not have seen it. And if they didn't, I suggest you guys go back and look there. Wasn't it a last man standing match, I believe? Yep. Either way it goes, they absolutely tried to kill each other.
Was that on which pay-per-view was that on?
Yeah, let me fact check that one, because I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'm gonna say
which one? Do you remember?
No. Should I go before Great American Bash? So I'm gonna say Battleground.
No,
I think it was Battleground.
I do actually think I watched that match.
Yeah, NXT Battleground.
NXT champion. Was it Battleground?
You're 100% right. Yep, you're right. NXT Battleground. So yeah,
Yeah, I did watch
that
that.
match was special, man. They absolutely tried to kill each other, and you're right, James. He wouldn't be NXT champion if it wasn't for what he accomplished in that match, being so tough. Dijak put him through a lot of pain, but man, you know, just going off their size, if you don't know anything about the two, you would just be like, oh, Dijak is gonna kill this guy, right? But Dragunov, man, he has a whole nother level that he went to. Yeah, this match is special, man. So, like, to avoid, even though I agree with you about Swerve and Hangman, I think you can't go wrong with that one because it was just very, very brutal. Dragunov and Dijak is one of those sleepers that I don't know if anybody would recall it since it was earlier this year. But, yeah, man, they beat the hell out of each other.
If there was like a most intense wrestler on the planet, like Ilya Dragunov would win it all the time.
Yeah,
like I said, the
no doubt.
He puts on. I just need to mention, and again, I'm pretty sure it was this year, Will Ospreay's head getting hit through the table.
Yeah, that's Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, that was
January,
Wrestle Kingdom,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Through.
Yeah,
Like,
Kenny Omega just smashed it all the way through.
You just reminded me that was this year.
Again, it's tough, but you can't really go past Adam Page drinking Swerve's blood. So I think for me, that's like that could have been holy shit, but yeah, that was definitely the Johnny Gargano. One to watch. Now it's usually a wrestler, but I've changed it up this year. All right, for me. So my one to watch isn't a wrestler; it's a wrestling company, and I'm really interested to see what TNA does. Now, as you guys know, I've been watching Impact Wrestling the past, 2 or 3 years now, religiously, and the change is coming, and I just want to know what's going to happen. It can either pick up, it stay where it is, or drop below. So I think for me, one to watch is Hard to Kill, to see where they're going and see how the new TNA comes. Because I didn't mind Impact Wrestling, but I can understand in some ways why they went back to TNA, and to see if we can get fans on board. Monty, who's your one to watch?
Yeah, I like that pick. I kept it grounded into a wrestler. Like you mentioned, and I can't wait to see next year. Well, by the way, how we talk about that. Oh my goodness, Impact, they almost went out of business. Or they're, you know what I mean? They're awesome. Their ratings, they're filling up stands. Whatever.
Signed for them,
right? Okada signed with Impact. What the hell? So yeah, I can't wait to see how we talk about that one. But my one to watch, James, I think you should have seen this coming. I've been right in the past about Melo in this particular category. I wasn't so right about Roxy, even though she did. I think she was already champion when I said it. So that one kind of it didn't go as well as I hoped. But this one, I feel like I'm on a roll, and I could be on a roll as in all the way in January. When things may be changing as soon as January in NXT, and that's my guy, Trick Williams. Like I said, he was a manager, the hype man for Carmelo Hayes for all this time. And now if you tell me that, and just like I know, John, because you was at the beginning of those 2.0 days, you remember what he was in the ring. You remember that he was mostly just a mouthpiece. And to see how far he has come in the ring, he's always been good on the mic, but he's gotten even better. And he feels like he is just going to be that guy. Like they said, 6'3", cars from Granite, as they always say.
6'5".
6'5". Oh my goodness! So 6'5".
Honestly,
cars from Granite. Like, he looks the part. He looks like a superstar. He talks like a superstar. He has the music. He has the entrance. Like I said, Trick Williams is definitely my one to watch. Please keep my guy healthy because I see big things coming for him, whether it's the NXT Championship or possibly even a call-up before the end of the year. You never even know with someone as talented and as good as he is. So, and I can't wait to see what him and Melo possibly do, whether it's a feud or they do what you said they still may do and win titles together. So we'll see.
I've said that.
We'll see.
Sure as Tyler Bate winning the North American title. But again, as you mentioned with Trick, he could be most improved because, like I said, the groundswell of the support, like I said, so organic as well. We spoke about on the NXT Deadline show. Was like, yeah, and like I said, even that for me, the whitest guy in the world chanting that as he comes out. Jaxie, who's your one to watch for 2024?
So I kind of am doing a little bit of a cop out with this one, but I'm going to say Swerve because again, I'm going to go back to that promo between MJF and Swerve, and I need to kind of see that happen. I also kind of like want to continue to have, and I'm not sort of a strong advocate or a voice for it, but I would love to see Swerve become the first ever black AEW
Definitely.
champion. So I am all here for that. So I have picked him as my number one to watch. However, I've also given a shout out to Santos Escobar. Only if they continue to promote him right and continue to give him the right screen time. I truly believe that like there are aspects of his NXT character that I really enjoyed coming out in this new heel turn for him. So like don't drop the ball with him. And if they don't, then I do believe he's one to watch for next year. But my ultimate pick is Swerve.
Well, can I just
If
say...
Swerve beat Max, would anybody be mad if he beat Max?
No,
if Swerve beat Max?
This is the thing. For me, Swerve and Trick
Oh,
are the best things going on each show.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not a fact of kind of, like I said, a history be made, but for me, they're the two best at this moment. So
exactly. I mean, and even listen to like the crowd again. Just going back to Swerve, he's supposed to be a heel, but he's not.
Don't sound like it.
No, absolutely not. It's like, you know, when like Stone Cold was meant to be a heel, but everyone kept cheering him.
Well,
It's exactly
can't be a heel with our manager of the year there, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The
manager won the heart, and now he can do no wrong, you know? Like even if you guys don't watch all of Dynamite, at least go and watch Swerve v Roosh. It's the opening match of Dynamite. My God, those two went so hard, but it was like you could hear a lot of people chanting for Roosh, but it was so hard because they were drowned out every time someone shouted "Whose house?" You know, he is that over. So it's like it's insane.
Gina, who's your one to watch?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but I have Swerve written down as well. I just feel like next year is going to be even bigger for him because this year has been so impactful, and it's working. And like I said, I went with Nana for the manager. I just think that they're the full package at the moment. So if they keep pushing it, it's just going to be sweet. But I did also, I actually hate that I put this matey's name down. I also put Logan Paul because I have a feeling that Logan Paul is just going to be splashing around our screens a lot more next year as well. So yeah, that's where it's my number one.
You could have gone for a promotion. So we'll move on to the big awards now, as I call them, the big ones, as we know, and we start with Tag Team of the Year. So Gina, I'll start with you. Tag Team of the Year. I'm guessing who you've gone for, but please tell me.
I'm going with FTR for Tag Team of the Year. They've just done a lot. You know, they've been tag champs in AEW, New Japan. Were they weren't the AAA. I don't know. They held like
They've
many
done it in
tag
the past
belts
2 years, haven't they? Like
exactly. They've just held a lot. They're, you know, every time like they kind of lose the belt, they've not really gone off the scenes too long to be forgotten about. And even when they've had like a couple weeks break or something, they've come back and then they've still got like an uproar from the crowd just seeing them come back. And they just handle the tag team scene so well over the past year. So yeah, I'm going FTR.
Yep. Jaxie, who's your tag team of the year?
So I don't know if this will come as a surprise to anyone, but I've actually gone with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. They've not only been consistently entertaining and really just kind of running Raw and putting on good promos backstage, good promos in the ring and matches. Just going from kind of an aspect of what you said when we first started, James, of you kind of looking at like more recent events with some of your answers. I've done that here with them. I find them so entertaining right now. I'm loving their matches. I actually was really kind of happy that they got the belts back, even though it meant that Jay and Cody lost them, just because I don't believe that they should have lost them in the first place. I think that they've still managed to keep those tag belts relevant, even though they currently still have both belts. So yeah, I've gone with them. Also, can I just give a shout out to everything that they're doing with R-Truth right now? It's so entertaining. And can I give a shout out to R-Truth? Have you seen how good he looks? Still, has that man aged at all? Can someone tell me that?
Have you heard the rumor?
He's a
What,
vampire, isn't he?
No. He's a time traveler, and that's why he was a fan of John Cena when he was a kid, and that's why he looks the way he does.
So much
And he shows
sense.
up in
Probably
arenas
51
and doesn't
years
know where
old.
he is. Right? That's
Yeah.
why he comes in. Thinks it's
love it.
a ladder match during a rumble. He's a time traveler.
Yeah. Monty,
You
how
can go
old
back
did
to
you,
his NWA clips. You can. What'd you say?
how old did you just say that he is?
He's supposed to be 51 years old.
And can I just say, guys, can you go and watch Raw just to go and watch his match and go and look
Oh
and
yeah, it
see
was
how
great.
still in the ring, his moves, like he still has it in the ring. He still has that energy to capture the crowd. His everything he comes out with, like honestly, I am absolutely loving the fact that he believes he's in the Judgment Day. Like, stick with this for a bit, for a little while longer, please. I beg you. I'm loving it. You
He
know,
gave him a serious leg injury too, by the way. So like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Even
he's
having him
different,
back,
man.
yeah, like he puts on he puts a smile on everyone's face whenever he's on our TVs. So yeah, I had to give a shout out to him. But yeah, Judgment Day for Tag Team of the Year.
Right, my tag team of the year, and I'm saying this before Monty, just in case he's picked it, but mine are probably the most consistently booked tag team of the year. You could argue all the other tag teams at the moment are makeshift. So if you look at, Balor and Priest, and of course Ricky Starks and Big Bill, which I can't believe Gina didn't pick, but still. And also like ABC, the Rascals, tag teams and Impact. But my tag team of the year is Bishamon, Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, winning the World Tag League for the third time in a row and calling their shot at Wrestle Kingdom as well. They are just consistently every time I see him, just giving great matches. And Monty, I know you know more than I, but even going back to the matches with FTR at the start of the year, I just think they are a proper tag team, and we haven't got a lot of them anymore. In a weird way.
Yeah, you definitely took my pick. Because like I said, it wasn't the best year for like you mentioned for tag teams, other than like you said a couple of teams that were made up, especially on the WWE side. But you have awesome, like you said, awesome stuff from FTR. I can't not give them love, but Bishamon beat FTR for the IWGP Tag Team Championship at Wrestle Kingdom. They defended against TMDK and Tanahashi and Okada. They beat both of those teams. They was double IWGP and Strong Tag Team Champions. And once again, they beat TMDK and the War Dogs for those belts. And then, like you mentioned, won World Tag League for the third time in a row. Just unbelievably consistent. Like I said, I'm so proud of like a guy like Yoshihashi, who I watched lose for years. People just used to call him a loser. He was this, he was that. And since he's joined the team with Goto, he is legitimately a champion and one of the best and then, like you said, they're two of the best tag team workers in the world. I've always been a big Hiroki Goto fan. He may not ever win that illustrious thing, that the only elusive thing that he's ever not had in his career, which is the IWGP World Championship. He may not ever do that in his career, but man, is he one of the best wrestlers. If you look up Goto's resume, he is legit. He is a legend in his own right. And yeah, man, I have to give a shout out. And I know we're not doing trios, but like you mentioned House of Black earlier, but I have to give a shout out to the trios champion in New Japan, Tanahashi, Okada, and Ishii. Those dudes are just killing it. And the only thing, those belts are makeshift. They're not necessarily ever protected. But since Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii has gotten those belts, the trios belts have been in great hands. Of course, when you have legends like those three holding on to them. So have to give them love. But Bishamon, like you said, definitely the number one tag team in the world if you ask me.
especially with we're getting Tanahashi and Zack Sabre Jr. now, so that comes
Right.
from them holding the titles. But it said, and I'll thank you for this, Monty, as well. It's like open up the New Japan world, because like you said, sometimes certain years you might be struggling in a few places, but to go to New Japan and be able to see that now, and I'm trying to keep up with it monthly, even though they do so many shows, like
They
the
do a
Road
lot.
2 and stuff like that. But
They
no,
just
like I
finished their
said,
last show leading up to Tokyo Dome, so if you want to catch up, you can try that. But trust me, I know what you mean.
yeah. So, like I said, great tag team of the year. Up next, the man of the year. So we do man, woman, and overall wrestler. So, man of the year. And Monty, seeing as I talked all over you, you can go first for man of the year.
Yeah, man. I thought I was gonna say this was easy, but it wasn't, because you can consider so many great wrestlers. I think we've had some shouts early, but I'm gonna just keep it simple. Like you mentioned, we talked about Roman Reigns' championship reign and just the inconsistency of it, and just how 3 matches in a year. I mean, that's borderline unacceptable, really. But man, Gunther, the champion's champion. Again, someone I've watched be dominant for a long damn time, whether it was NXT UK champion to where he is now. To just think about how he's been able to just make it a thing. I feel like it's a done deal. Whenever he gets the world title, I don't know when it's going to happen. Whenever he gets it, he's probably going to have it for well over 200, 300 days because that's just what Gunther does. He's unbelievably dominant. And I was going to, before I chose Dragunov's finisher, James, I was going to put Gunther's finisher, which is none at all. Whatever he wants to do to you at the end of a match. Shout out to Gunther. That's the man of the year, in my opinion, because honestly, it doesn't matter if it's The Miz, which they had another great match too on the latest Raw. And then whether it's The Miz, whether it's Chad Gable, doesn't matter who you throw him in there with. Gunther has been able to get a solid to really good performance out of them and just make them wrestle. Like I said, I've never seen The Miz wrestle like this, in my opinion. That's how good Gunther is. And he makes you believe, even when we feel like no one has a chance. It's kind of funny how Roman does the same thing, but it's completely different with Gunther, man.
Right, that was an excellent choice. Jaxie, what about you? Who's your man of the year?
So for my man of the year, I actually kind of had a bit of a think about this, and overall, I'm going with Bryan Danielson. He's really given us some amazing 5-star matches of the year, to be honest. If you want to argue from him versus Okada to him versus Zack Sabre Jr., even him versus Brody King, him versus Andrade, he's been killing it in all of his matches. So overall, with consistency, even with a fucking broken orbital bone, Bryan Danielson.
Do you know what? That's an excellent pick, because even going through the matches like we rated throughout the shows, Danielson's name popped up more times than I even thought we was going to. And that he said that's the guy that's had 2 major injuries. Broken arm, broken orbital bones. It's been tough, but he's trying.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, consistent.
Gina, what about you then? Or should I just put Ricky Starks?
No, I actually have Bryan Danielson written down. So for the exact same reasons, he's just been consistent all year with injury, and he's still been relevant on our scene. So he's just been there. And to be honest, I love that Monty went with Gunther, because I didn't think of him, and he definitely deserves it. But my first choice was Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, mine's kind of similar to Monty a little bit, but just, it's Ilya Dragunov. He's my man of the year. There is no one I enjoy watch wrestle more than him in a certain way, just for the intensity that he brings. Even Baron Corbin, who's like the nicest guy in wrestling, will get fucked up. Ilya doesn't give a shit. And he's carrying NXT now as the champion that he was on NXT UK. So I'm just so pleased he's in this position. And, we talk about Gunther. He is ready to dethrone him. Whether that happens next year, whatever it is. I mean, Gunther could hold the title for how long he wants, but Dragunov, I think, is the guy. And it's so happy on the NXT. And like I said, every performance is a great match as well. So that's our men of the year. So we move on to women. And Gina, who is your woman of the year?
I mean, I'll be surprised if we all don't have the same, to be honest. But I think my number one pick definitely is going to Rhea Ripley. She's just bossed it this year, and yeah, I can't explain anything other than she's just smashed it, not just in the women's scene, but in men's scene as well. You know, every time the Judgment Day have like a segment, she is still a main part of it, you know. She's just killing it. So Rhea.
Do you know what? I didn't even think that's. I don't think I class Ripley as a woman. I don't, not in that way, but as in like, she's just like another entity. It's Ray Ripley. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll put her up against anybody in the world.
She should
you know,
have
it's
her
really
own
weird.
award category in itself.
Yeah, it's like, most like Ray Ripley, but unfortunately we can't. Monty, who's your Woman of the Year?
Yeah, man, I think it was a no-brainer. Like I said, I looked through AEW. I think Toni Storm deserves a shot just for reinventing herself. But like I said, it was so inconsistent throughout the year when it comes to booking there. I couldn't go there. Like you said, Rhea Ripley, man. And I think you just made my point, James, why she's the Woman of the Year. She transcends the women's division. You know, other than that competitive, that awesome match she had with Charlotte that kind of kicked off this really, really exclamated and kicked off this huge run for her. She's starting most of every Raw with a promo. She's pretty much the de facto leader, even if her and Damien are kind of jockeying for that position. She feels like the leader, you know, no matter what's going on. As a matter of fact, that might be the Judgment Day's downfall whenever they do it. It's probably going to be over leadership at that point. But, you know, there's no leaders there, they claim. But I don't care what anybody say. Everybody does what mommy says, right? So, yeah, man, I think Rhea is just, again, she's not to say that she's in that China category, but if they ever wanted to go back there and let a woman win a male's title or whatever, I think Rhea Ripley is the number one choice across the entire wrestling business at this point. This was her year. She took it over. And, yeah, man, the women's division on Raw was just revolved around her. And I've seen some people taking shots at her reign, saying it hasn't been a lot of this and that. And I just feel like it's because of how much bigger than everyone, not just literally, but bigger, like you said, the entity, the fact that she just feels like she transcends the entire women's division at this point. Even from someone as accomplished and awesome as Bianca, it's like Rhea feels like she's on top of just everyone at this point. So yeah, I have to give my love to Mama, man. She's the woman.
Yeah, Jaxie, what about you?
Honestly, again, Rhea. She really has bossed it. Everything that both Gina and Monty have said really has kind of outshone it. Again, if you look at kind of what happened from ever since COVID, and she sort of lost the belt to Charlotte, she's worked her way back up, and she is now running Raw. Like, even when she's away for a week or two, everyone's still talking about Mommy, you know? So it's kind of a no-brainer to actually put her in that position because it's well-deserved.
Well, I'm going to let you guys take Ripley, and I'll pick someone else because there's so many to choose from. Like you talk about, Ray Ripley is the dominant force, but Toni Storm in AEW, Knockouts division in Impact. I mean, Deanna Purrazzo, Trinity, you know, Mickie James, Jordan Grace, the list goes on and on. You know, but I think my pick for Woman of the Year is it's a bit like my Leah choice. It's someone who had success in NXT, didn't look like maybe it was going to work out, and has come through and is now a champion. So Io Sky for me is my Woman of the Year because Money in the Bank win and now in a dominant position because we weren't sure if she's going to hold the title for like a month or so, but it looks like now she should be heading to WrestleMania with it. So Io Sky is my Woman of the Year. Move on to the most biased category of the year for me is pay-per-view or PLE. So Jaxie, start us off. What is your pay-per-view of the year?
Yep, you guessed it. I'm biased. I'm going with All In. It was an incredible experience in itself. You know, even if like my overall sort of like predictions didn't go my way, the experience and just being there live watching AEW when I've done New Japan and WWE now, it was just a bucket list come true. So for me, I have to give it my pay-per-view of the year.
Gina?
Yeah, spilling the beer over that little girl was a peak moment. Definitely. I'm actually gonna just chime in as well and say mine says the same. I was there, so it was a whole different experience for me. But I do want to give a special shout out to Wrestle Dream, and they gave us that Zack Sabre Jr. Bryan Danielson match. So shout out to Wrestle Dream. But my favorite was All In.
Mine, I mean, All In, we've already got 2, so I'll do my second one then, which is Money in the Bank. Crazy night. And just so much fun this year. We've all been people listen to this pretty sick. Gonna be like, oh, you've been to all these events, have you, this year? So it's down to Monty. Monty, are you gonna?
I'm breaking the spell.
I'm
breaking it. I'm breaking it. I'm going unbiased here.
You're not going Rumble. You're not gonna go.
Yeah, I'm not going Royal Rumble. Honestly, I feel like as a matter of fact, and usually it feels biased if I say it. That's why I'm not picking it. But I have to give a shout out to Forbidden Door, because Forbidden Door was awesome this year. Like you said, the Danielson Okada stuff, and then you have Omega and Ospreay too. Like, come on, man! I thought they really did a great job with that one. That was my favorite AEW show this year. But again, the New Japan guy loving Forbidden Door for AEW. That doesn't sound like a shock. But I'm going to actually use my memory banks, other than the memory banks of I was there. I'm going to use the memory banks of quality, because WrestleMania...
Right, you can tone the sass down a little bit, yo.
Hey, this is for those fans who sitting at home right now rolling their eyes like, oh my God, all right, you guys were there, we get it. This is for those people. Anyway.
Because that wasn't you last year, no, Monty? Oh, sorry.
Relax.
You got
WrestleMania
heat,
night 1.
You got some heat.
Right? You hear that? I love it. Again, I'm the heel of the show, so I love it. But anyway, WrestleMania night 1 was literally one of the most solid, beautiful, perfect nights of wrestling that I ever experienced. Like we mentioned before, with Sammy and Kevin versus the Usos closing out the show. But don't forget, Charlotte and Rhea Ripley had an absolute banger of a match, probably the best women's match all year. If you really go back and watch it, and it was a special one. Dominic being spanked by his father, literally in front of a whole bunch of people. You know what I mean? And even Seth Rollins and Logan Paul at that night was a really good time. So I just remember that night being really, really special, and just one of the best shows. And if you go back to my ratings, it was my highest rated show, right along with Forbidden Door. So that kind of sealed the deal for me. And I love kind of actually showing, a nice thing that some people may have forgotten. But I feel like night 1 of WrestleMania was almost perfect night of wrestling.
Just for the record, Money in the Bank for me was a highest rated show. So my bias was there in June, not just December. All right, thank you very much.
You were.
We'll move on. This was so tough. I might have to rename Match of the Year the Will Ospreay Award, but again, this was hard. So, Gina, what is your Match of the Year?
This one was really difficult, but I am going to give it to Ricky Starks versus Bryan Danielson at All Out. That was a great match.
He had to get one award, didn't he?
Just go watch it yourself.
You had to get one.
Yeah.
Like what you did there. Jack C, Match of the Year?
Okay, so this was really tough. I do have some shout outs, but like in terms of like match candidates, but like overall, it was really tough to choose between Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom versus Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door, and I couldn't decide. So I'm going Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay.
Okay. Well, you got that, and Ospreay just had a ridiculous year. Like, talk about Wrestle Kingdom, Forbidden Door with Omega, versus Zack Sabre Jr. And my Match of the Year is Will Ospreay versus Speedball Mike Bailey from Bound for Glory. If anybody's not seen this match, this was incredible. With no titles on the line, these two guys it was like the old-fashioned, the wind-up toys, and they just went until they ran out, and it was incredible. And I've watched the match a couple of times, even though it was on in October. Just fantastic stuff. But again, anything from Will Ospreay this year probably could be in the list. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, man, 100%. I already mentioned a couple of them, but I'm going to say them again. Like I said, Rhea and Charlotte was really, really good from WrestleMania. Dragunov versus Melo, No Mercy. Shoot, like you said, really all three times was really, really good. Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew, special stuff. Special stuff. I know a lot of people may not remember that triple threat, but that was awesome. MJF and Danielson deserves love, the Iron Man match, and Swerve and Hangman again. And my last shout out that I have to say, really second place for me, it's a late bloomer, James. I know you appreciate this. The best multi-man match, in my opinion, of the year. Trick Williams' victory in the Iron Survivor match.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. Woo,
Yeah.
was that beautiful. Oh, my goodness. That comeback victory at the end there. Special stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome. I actually didn't give my shout outs. I only gave like the actual overall. So just going off of what Monty said, I do want to give a few shout outs. There was one recently that just happened, but it was a 6-man tag between Top Flight, Penta, Vinkingo, and Commander. It was on like a Rampage. If you haven't seen it, it's the main event. Please go and see it. It's like jaw dropping. You don't expect it. It's pay-per-view worthy. I also need to give a shout out to the 2 out of 3 falls match between FTR and Bullet Club. That was insane. Both teams did so well. I honestly didn't know who was going to win that match. Also, I want to give a shout out to the tag team match that recently happened between Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale versus Diamante and Mercedes. Those 4 tried to kill each other. It was like carnage, everything. And lastly, Trish and Becky for the steel cage match, because that was an awesome match.
And lastly,
Excellent
James,
choices.
you didn't mention it, and I thank you for not mentioning it when you was on your Ospreay tirade, because the match the most special for me, my favorite wrestler in the world, the number 1 contender for the IWGP World Championship, Tetsuya Naito, and his classic match against Will Ospreay in the final of the G1 Climax, where he was literally knocked out on his feet, unconscious, but continued because Will Ospreay helped him through the finish of that match. But man, my heart was into it. I was almost brought to tears since it was almost 7 years to the day since Naito won his last G1. And now he finally has a chance to do his one goal left in wrestling, which is to win the main event of Wrestle Kingdom and do the LIJ roll call. Will he beat former stablemate Sonata and be able to do it? I can't wait to find that out at Wrestle Kingdom. But yeah, man, one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. You're 100% right, James. Ospreay could be all over this all the time because that's just how he does it, and that's what his output was insane this year. But yeah, man, Naito G1 Climax Final. That's my match of the year. Naito versus Will Ospreay.
Well, if we're doing shout outs, I also want to shout out Mercedes Moné versus Kyrie at Battle in the Valley, because that was lit and I loved that match.
Awesome.
So I also want to say that.
Yeah. Slipped my mind on that one.
It's crazy to think there's 3 Ospreay matches in 3 different promotions.
I mean, again, like you guys said, though, he just had, like, what a year he had, so fair play to him.
I was about to say, so the last award that we give out is overall wrestler. And again, this guy has had it in the bag. I mentioned him as my wrestler of the year last year. He's my wrestler of the year again.
Me too. Just mark me down, John.
I'll mark you down. Well, like, what else can be said about Will Ospreay, Monty, that hasn't? Like, the guy just has 5-star matches. Like,
this is what he does, man.
Is this what, like, when Omega and Okada were, like, feuding? Was this what that was like? What, every time they're in the ring, or every time Kenny was in the ring, it was just 5-star matches?
Every time, Kenny was on his New Japan run, especially with Okada. But you can go back to Elgin, Jeff Cobb. Kenny was having great matches with whoever you threw him in there with, and I think that's the exact same type of run that Ospreay is. The only difference is that Kenny was mostly still in Japan. Ospreay is everywhere. He's in the UK killing it with people. He's in AEW. He's, like you mentioned earlier, in Impact. So, and also in New Japan. So the fact that he doesn't matter where he goes and that he still maintained that standard is just insane. William Peter Charles Ospreay is definitely my choice for Wrestler of the Year. And I also want to say this, James. If he does not win it next year, it's going to be hard for me not to blame him signing with AEW. Because that's just how good he's been for so long.
Will Ospreay.
Please don't do that to me, Tony. Keep it going. Just let Will do what he does. Leave Will the hell alone and just put him in the ring with Swerve and guys like that. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, Will got the formula. He's awesome, and I think he's gonna do great stuff for AEW if they know what's good for him. Just like I said, don't bother Ospreay. Book him the right way, and he's gonna continue to be top tier. I might have to give it to I might force myself to give it to someone else next year because that's just he don't miss, man. He's like Melo, he don't miss.
Well, I think this is the first year that Gunther hasn't had my match of the year. So because I think the last 3 or 4 years he's been up there. So let's see if we can change that next year. Jaxie, who's your overall wrestler of 2023?
You bring some really good points up with the everything that was done this year. However, I've actually gone Rhea Ripley. In terms of the matches and the caliber of matches she's had, she's been incredible. Monty pointed out night one of WrestleMania that her and Charlotte. That's even a match of the year candidate in itself. Rhea also I didn't actually say this before, but I had another move of the year candidate apart from the spring in the face, which was Rhea's ripcord, because she's consistently kind of found creative ways to actually pull it out of nowhere. She's every time it just looks devastating, So overall, just even her sort of hold on the Judgment Day, her hold on Raw, her overall dominance of the WWE fandom, I had to give it to Rhea.
I completely agree. Like I said, that's why it's overall wrestler, or superstar, they call it, because Ripley is a superstar and deserves to there. And Gina, our last one, then, who is the overall wrestler of 2023 for you?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with my sister and go with Rhea here. She's definitely killed it this year, and even when she's not on the promotion, she's still getting mommy chants. I swear, Buddy was in an AEW match and there were mommy chants. She's just over everywhere, and I think you can't ask for a better year, to be honest, for her, and she deserves it. So yeah, Rhea.
Yeah, without doubt. So that's it. I'm sure everybody at home has been fascinated listening to our choice for the 9th Annual WNR Awards, and what a show it was. Let's see, like I said, in a year's time, if we look back and go, what we'll be thinking? But who knows? And like I said, it's going to be a huge start of the year. As Monty mentioned, Wrestle Kingdom, the Royal Rumble as well, and of course I'm sure AEW will throw some shit at us. So there's a lot going on. And of course next week we have got part 1 of our year-end predictions. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. And maybe a little catch-up on New Japan as well, if we have time. But I think that is it. I'll just ask everybody first. Start with Jaxie. Were you happy with choices this year?
I am. I actually think I put a lot of effort into this this year. And again, I think I've probably said this in the previous 2 end-of-year pods, but I'm really looking forward to, wrestling content next year. We've got so much to come, and that starts not only with day 1, but the NXT one and Wrestle Kingdom coming up. So have a good one, guys. But we've got loads of exciting wrestling to go.
And it makes a difference who's trying, so that's good. Gina, how do you think you've done this year with your picks? You happy? You happy with wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with my picks. I'm just hoping that I'm not going to get another Jungle Boy moment because I don't think I'm going to live it down.
Well, we'll be here to remind you. Don't worry about that.
Cheers.
Monty, you and I, we're going to have complaints soon that we're getting too similar. We're going to have to change it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, stop forcing me to watch so much NXT. You know, I'm whatever. I don't know what.
Forcing me. What's your New Japan then? Yeah, right back at you.
There we go. I think that's the problem. That's what it is. We're indulging each other's interests. But as far as my list go, I'm awesome. I do want to say this honorable mention again. I know I said his name when it comes in reference to getting his face smashed by Ilya Dragunov. But Melo debuted on SmackDown, or they debuted in the U.S. title tournament. So I gotta show. I know y'all probably sick of me showing love to Carmelo Hayes, but he's always one to watch. That's the reason why I went with Trick Williams instead of letting everybody know that you need to watch Melo. Just whenever Melo's on your screen, he's also one of the highest rated segments on SmackDown. So there you go. They watching Melo. Keep watching, guys.
Melo is money, isn't it? Yeah, without doubt. And finally, it wouldn't be me without bringing everybody down. and I don't know why I do it.
Oh, my goodness.
Shouldn't really laugh.
It's a tradition at this point.
Honestly, yeah. And I'm doing it on the Christmas show. But this morning, we had news that my grandma had passed away at the age of 97. And again, it was a bit of a shock, but she had a great innings. There's no doubt about that. And I just thought I'd mention it because at Christmas time is about spending with your family, and you don't know what could happen. So if you're listening now and you haven't hugged a loved one for a long time or something like that, then go do it. No, it's fine. It's like
all the love and your family.
Yeah, I said it's not. It's unfortunately it happens, But with the Christmas spirit or the Christmas period, with people around you as well, just be thankful because you're not sure, what's going to happen next year. That's the thing about it. But
exactly. Make the most of your time.
You with my wrestling nonsense.
I laugh because I'm nervous. I'm not, you know what I mean. It's
right.
It's weird, but I thought I'd mention it because then it's it's there in time, just like the WNR Awards.
This podcast recording is dedicated to her. Then
yes, yeah, it is.
In love and memory.
And her favourite Christmas song was the Pogues. So, I mean, I'll just say the boys in the NYPD choir still singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. So that's it. Don't forget, we're across all social media at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. You can find the entire team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find and listen to you?
Like you said, on Twitter banner, you can find me on Twitter at MyMontyPod. Monty is how you spell Monty. So I had someone ask me, is it E or I? I'm like, come on, dog, it's Y. But it's all good. So yeah, check out Mind of Monty.
We were used to it.
Yeah, check out Mind of Monty on YouTube. We're coming back with a vengeance next year with the podcast. That's going to be talking about more than just professional wrestling. A little bit of life update. Let you know how a young parent is handling himself with a 7-month-old daughter who is moving around so much now that I have to get back. I have to get in better shape, guys. I got to keep up. So just keep up with me, and I'll keep up with my daughter, and I'll tell you all about it on Mind of Monty.
Shadow of a doubt. Jaxie, where can Jimmy find you?
Anyone can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Gina, where can people send you weird tweets?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Purple Pain with the E on the end.
And the Double also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us an email, the Double podcast at gmail.com, and YouTube, the Double podcast, where all latest clips and podcasts go at the same time on YouTube as they do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, rate, and review there. So that's it. The next episode of Year End Predictions. I'm trying to do an Impact show, but you guys don't realise how lazy I am. So I'm going to try it. But until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. I wish you a very Merry Christmas, Jaxie. I know maybe a bit spiky, but, you know, hopefully we can sort things out by the time the year-end predictions happen.
We always do. You know, we've gone almost 4 years now, so we'll get we'll get through it.
God,
But
how
it's been
depressing
fun.
is that? When you say
It's been fun hanging with you guys. I hope everyone has a great Christmas break and a lovely New Year's, and that includes all of you listeners. Thank you for listening, everyone.
No doubt. And of course, the mind of Monty. Monty, thank you very much for joining us, even though we know how busy you are.
Yeah. Hey, just add another thing to the list. We're good. We're gonna keep moving. Gonna move forward. Next year, like you said, it's gonna be a big year in wrestling and just in general. So I'm looking forward to being a part of the fam and keeping everything going.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And the genius of Gina. I bet you're rubbing your hands in glee for year-end predictions the next couple of shows.
I'm just polishing my crown, to be honest. So, you know, preparing it for next year as well. But it's been great fun, and to be fair, I've shocked myself this year, so we'll see what I'm going to do next year.
Yeah, well, we'll find out what happens. But like I said, year-end next week. But until then, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.